What happens when a life spirals out of control? Is that steep descent that can shatter a personality one day and a family the next unstoppable? Or is there room for hope?
7352 Southeast Division.
If we fail to be that hope, to reach out to people lost on the fringes of society, can we really be the people we think we are? Most don't choose to live on the edge. They drift there, in a dark sea of emotional, mental, or social turmoil. With hope, they can find a mooring, a chance to get help, get well, and get on with life. Mid-Erie Counseling and Treatment Services, a private, not-for-profit, community-based organization, offers such a place. Mid-Erie counselors treat the most vulnerable, children and adults from poorer neighborhoods where anxiety, depression, drugs, and crime are at their highest. And all of this benefits all of us, not just by making our community safer. Because when mental illness and chemical abuse go untreated, they lead to expensive long-term care, hospitalization, crime, and incarceration. Mid-Erie serves over 1,000 people and families every year. Without them, the cost to our society could be staggering. Mental health is just as important as physical health, yet society still treats mental health as a secondary issue. We can't afford this attitude any longer.
Mental health is crucial to a person's overall well-being. It needs to be rated as importantly as physical health and education, and right now in this country, it is not.
Buffalo is the second poorest city in America, and the Broadway-Fillmore area is the poorest zip code in that city. This is Mid-Erie's core area of service, where we're needed the most.
Our clients are very, very vulnerable. They also can be very volatile. We really tend to be the core of an area and help keep everything stable because we're who they go to for stability and help and resources. So without Mid-Erie, the neighborhoods would really just continue to decline, and I think we would see more violence and depression and suicide.
Who are these people that Mid-Erie helps? They're children and young teens unable to emotionally function in their families and schools. They have behavioral disorders that threaten others and themselves. Many are older adolescents and adults who suffer from severe mental illness or are straining to cope with internal conflict, family hostility, and the pressures of society and life. They're men and women enduring the pain and injury of domestic violence. They're impressionable youngsters flirting with the same drugs and alcohol they've seen at home and on the streets. And they're adults unable to function because of addiction. They're the families of those people, desperate to cope. All of these people depend on Mid-Erie to get their lives and the lives of their loved ones back.
Mid-Erie within the Western New York mental health system really kind of spans the gap from both very simple, non-complex problems that require a few visits with a therapist or a psychiatrist to being able to treat children with very high-end psychiatric conditions or comorbidities. We can see developmentally disabled children, children with substance disorders, children with forensic involvements, and families that really can get lost in the system if they don't have a really coordinated treatment plan.
Some clients simply walk in the front door. Many others come through Mid-Erie's work with schools, hospitals, and the courts. Those institutions let Mid-Erie know when they see someone at risk, so Mid-Erie can intervene as early and effectively as possible, hopefully before a crisis, a relapse, or serious crime forces them further down the spiral of despair.
My life prior to Mid-Erie consisted of a lot of partying, a lot of going out. I hung out with a lot older crowd, and I think a lot of that had to do with the influence over me to use drugs and alcohol. And eventually I wound up getting pulled over, and I had a bowl in my purse. So Cheektowaga Court sentenced me to drug court, and because of it, I had to go to Mid-Erie.
I worked with Amy Lynn for a period of about 6 months, and during that time period, I saw an individual go from highly resistant to really getting it.
Mid-Erie kind of helped me decide that I want to change and that things weren't as good as they could be on the path that I was already on.
If Amy Lynn had not come to Mid-Erie, she'd be like so many other young people that I've seen and worked with out there on that roller coaster of my drug use is not a problem, and the denial piece would be so embedded and so enmeshed within her and would go on into her adulthood as a using person with an addiction.
The whole Mid-Erie experience has really, I guess, put my life on the right track. It's really helped me move forward and just decide what I want to do and take the initiative that I needed to, get started on that right path that I need to be on.
During the time period that we were working, Amy Lynn came to me at one of our sessions and she says, you know what, I found what I want to do. I want to be a counselor. And I said to her, why? She says, because I know that there's a need.
I think I'll make a good drug counselor because having been through the experiences that many of these kids and adolescents have gone through or are going through, it'll make me able to relate to them better.
Amy Lynn now lives a drug-free lifestyle. For a young person, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because she got it.
The advice I'd give to young people, if they're going through all this, having been there and done that, I guess would just be, if you really want to change, you can do so, but you do need help. It's not something you can just do on your own, especially if you've had a history of substance or alcohol abuse. Also, you really have to want to change for it to happen, and the best way to do it is just take one day at a time.
Today, Mid-Erie is facing its toughest challenge yet. As the economy falters and poverty increases, funding is falling off just when it's needed most. Fewer hospital programs and beds are now available for the mentally ill. Prisons are releasing inmates into communities earlier, and statistics show that 80% have mental health or drug-related problems that have gone untreated. All of this means that more people than ever before are without help or hope, except for the help and hope that Mid-Erie can provide, given enough resources. Today, Mid-Erie's community outreach effort to at-risk children is limited to just a few schools by lack of critically needed resources. There needs to be more, a lot more. And since funding has been cut, outreach to adults is suffering too. How will we keep up with the growing need? Will we be able to expand our programs, as we must, to meet the growing needs of our community? The future of Mid-Erie, and perhaps more importantly, the future of the people to whom only Mid-Erie can provide that special hope, depends on the awareness, generosity, and willingness of everyone to do their fair share, and sometimes even more than their fair share.
I would like people to know that Mid-Erie is here, that we're able to help them, that we respect their privacy and their confidentiality, and that we're very capable, and that there is hope.
Because more than ever, if Mid-Erie can't provide its lifeline to the weakest and most vulnerable among us, who will? What kind of community and what kind of nation are we? Please help.